What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a great night so far. Another episode of Canes After Dark. I'm extremely excited to talk about a lot of things, such as recruiting. We got the Alabama football game coming up, 3:30 p.m. time slot. I cannot wait. If you're going to Atlanta, please comment below. Before we get started, guys, you got to head over to approvedforloans.com. If you need any loan, any mortgage at all, call Derek at 706-201-7275. He's got you covered. Any mortgage or loan for houses in Georgia and Florida. If you're looking to invest into property, first-time home buyers, you got to call Derek. Once again, diehard Miami Hurricanes football fan. Who else are you going to support? You're not going to support a Florida State Seminole. You want to support Derek, and you can reach him at 706-201-7275. Derek from approvedforloans.com. All right, Ross, where do we begin? Recruiting is heating up. June 1st, we have a long list of unofficial visits coming to Coral Gables. What do you think, man? Ja'Curry Brown, only commit left. What are your thoughts about this upcoming big visit?
Well, I believe that this visit is extremely important for us. We need to start making a little headway in the class. It's definitely not time to panic or anything yet by any means, but we need to start making some headway. There's no doubt about it. Losing out on a guy like Isaiah Bond, even though it's not written in stone yet or whatever you want to refer to it, it's a big loss due to the fact that our coaches were after him for months and months and months. We offered him before hardly anybody else was even attempting to even contact him. Having the Gators in-state rival come in 1 month, that was all it took, 30 days, 1 month for them to make that connection with him to get him to flip. I mean, or not flip, but at least commit to them was worrisome. I mean, I know we've got some other targets. We've got guys like Quan Lee, Jaden Gibson, guys with different traits and different things we need, but we need to hit on some of these. David, what do you think, man? Where do you see this 2022 class going right now?
Man, you took the words right out. I'm so surprised because like how you said, man, we were there early. He came with Brown, and it was an unofficial visit, so they came out, out of their own pocket, did that, and I wasn't hearing anything about him going to UF or anything, but I saw that he was ready to commit, and then I saw the comments and I saw people, he's UF bound, and I was like, what? I'm confused. You came with Brown, and they played, I believe, on a 7-on-7 team, man. And they had that chemistry, so I thought he was all ours. And I wanted someone like that, with that speed. And it was heartbreaking. It was definitely heartbreaking to know that he went to UF. I was just in disbelief. But again, man, you know how it is with this recruiting stuff. You just never know. He's still coming in June, so there's still some hopes there. So we'll see. And just like you, man, at first, I was a little worried because I was, what's up with recruiting and stuff like that? It's not going our ways, and it's fortunate that we did get the most important piece in recruiting, the quarterback in Brown. And you would think, he's, once he commits, the domino effect and stuff, but it hasn't happened yet. But everyone keeps saying the same thing, man. June, Paradise Camp. So I'm just being optimistic and I'm being patient with it. I'm ready for June, and we'll see. I believe Quan Lee's committing late in May or anytime sooner, and it's I like our chances there, and he seems to be a good receiver. And I'm just looking forward to June, man. Once these kids come in, the official visits and the unofficial visits. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, man.
What do you think, Anthony? Should we be worried right now? Only one commit left in the class, or man, we should just be no worries at all. We're fine. I mean, Alabama's in a similar position, but we're not Alabama.
Yeah, I'm not hitting the panic button yet, just because I'm gonna go back what David said. The Paradise Camp is coming. I believe in June, late June. So I think right there we're gonna see who's really who's really gonna commit to Miami, who's really gonna take a tour of the facilities and stuff like that, who's really all about the U. I am a little upset that obviously Florida got in connection with Bond, and he committed to them. Obviously he's gonna come take a look at Miami, but it just shows you, man, we how these SEC schools, man, like not just Florida, but like the Alabamas and Georgias, they come into South Florida and then they start taking little by little. It doesn't take them long to get these kids, buying into their program. And I think this is where, is where the season is. It's all how your season is. How does your season go? Can you compete with the Bamas? Can you, compete with these SEC schools? I know that Earl Little, and a lot of people are giving up on Earl Little. They say he's Bama bound. They don't know where he's going to go. Obviously, his dad wants him to choose wherever he wants to go, even though his dad played with us back in the day. And obviously, if Earl Little goes to Bama, it's a national championship school, big time program he wants to play for. But yeah, I know we got Ja'Cory Brown, but I'm not hitting the panic button yet, just because we are getting the Paradise Camp, and I think that right there is really going to open up eyes to a lot of recruits, and obviously the season opener.
Ross, do you think if Miami doesn't land anyone from American Heritage Plantation, Marvin Jones Jr., Earl Little Jr., Jacoby Spells, do you think that is a swing and miss for this class?
Time you prioritize a recruit from a local school like American Heritage, a school that pumps out elite talent year after year after year, it seems like now, to me, it's definitely a swing and a miss, just for the simple fact that these are the relationships that we need to really forge. We need to get these relationships so strong that we can come into schools like STA, American Heritage, and truly make an impact in our recruiting classes by going after their players and getting their commitments. I think if we didn't land any of those guys, it would be an absolute swing and a miss, no doubt about it.
What's the expectation for this class, guys? I mean, right now, do you think we'll finish with a top 15, top 20 class? Maybe we'll hit the top 10. What do you guys think the expectation is, for this class upcoming, David, in your eyes? Remember, we have a brand new staff. So, we brought in guys like Travaris Robinson, Jess Simpson, to really help out, with the previous staff as well, guys like Bob Shoop. So where do you think we stand?
Man, honestly, like top 10 seems at this point, like at least today, it seems a little bit far-fetched, I would think, man. From what everybody's saying that, we're trying to get at least like 15 to 17 kids and just work that transfer portal. As far as ranking wise, I could definitely see us finishing in the top 15, which I'm okay with. The whole transfer portal thing, it's sometimes like a love and hate, man, because you like it because we've got, at least us, we've definitely gotten what we needed through it, but at the same time, it's like, you kind of want to be there with the Bamas and Ohio State and Clemson's, I think, where it's like you're not having to depend on the transfer portal, and you want to be in those top 5 classes, at least in my opinion. And not to say that Alabama and Ohio State's and Clemson's, they're not getting people from the transfer portal. It's because they are, right? Alabama is actually getting like 5 stars from the transfer portal too. But at least just in my opinion, I want to be at that point where it's like, hey, we're keeping South Florida here, and we don't have to rely on the transfer portal. At least for this year, again, man, top 15. And it's one of those years, I think, where it's like, show me. And, it's just, we're going to see how far recruiting can take us. But I that's what I think, man. I think top 15, top 20 doesn't sound, too sexy, and I don't think top 20 would be good, but I could definitely see top 15, top 10, maybe, but it's just a little far-fetched right now.
Anthony, would you be okay if this recruiting class coming up, we don't take a lot of high school kids, but we take around 5 players from the transfer portal, just because the staff doesn't identify the talent? Maybe in South Florida, in the local area, and it's very difficult to get out-of-state recruits to come to Miami compared to those in-state programs recruiting them. So would you be okay with a smaller class, yet more targets from the transfer portal?
So I think the transfer portal has done okay for the past couple years in Miami. I look at transfer as a temporary fix, what we need to fix. I would really want to get, the high school recruits and to develop them. I want these coaches to develop these players. Obviously, if we can't get the recruits that we need, we can't finish in the top 10 and even the top 15 class, and we have to land the transfer portal, then so be it. But I don't want that to be an every year thing. Hey, we can't get the recruits, so let's go to the transfer portal. Let's go to the transfer portal. The transfer portal should be a temporary thing. We shouldn't be relying on the transfer too much. Yeah, 1 or 2 players or 3 is fine. I understand, because maybe we need a development and we need a linebacker, for example. Maybe we need someone in in the defensive line or someone on offense that need to step up. We need the leadership, and that's fine. Let's go to the transfer portal and get that. But I would like for Manny and this coaching staff to get mostly the high school recruits and develop these players into becoming all-star players. We got the T-Rob, who's known for developing these DBs. We got Jess Simpson now to develop the defensive line coach. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we can't always rely on the transfer portal. But if we have to, it hasn't been done bad with us over in the past couple of years with Manny Diaz. But I would like to see more at the development side from the high school kids.
There was an article by State of the U. It was by Marsh, I believe. And it stated, give Manny Diaz time, give him patience. If he goes 10-2, let's say, let him grow at Miami regardless of this season. I don't know if the article completely stated that, but basically it summed up saying, let's give Manny Diaz time. I mean, what do you guys think this upcoming season? Is this a year to be patient with Manny Diaz? What do you think, David?
Yeah, man. I'm a fan of Diaz. I honestly think maybe it's just not against Manny Diaz or Miami thing, but I just think, uh, when it comes to coaching, even at the NFL level, it seems like it's just a win now, and no one wants to be patient, man. Everybody wants to be Alabama, but it's like, LSU struggles against Alabama, Auburn struggles against Alabama and against the big boys, I believe you got to give them more time. I personally think regardless of what type of season Manny Diaz has, unless he's losing to an FIU again, no matter what, I think Diaz is here next year. You just can't let go of a coach or fire a coach. You just gave him a contract, and within 2 years, you're letting him go. I definitely think I think his heart is in the right place. And he wants what's best for UM. He's learning as he's going. Mind you, this is Manny Diaz's first big gig, right? So he's learning. But I think you got to give him time, man. There's some things that I love about Manny Diaz and stuff like that. And some things he's probably handled, not very well, being a first time head coach. But again, I think he's here no matter what.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens this upcoming season, how things play out. I mean, Anthony, what are your expectations for this upcoming season? Do you think Manny Diaz can really turn the tide and get Miami in the right direction? I mean, what's your viewpoint for this upcoming season?
Oh, man, it's just... Well, look at the schedule. Your first, if I'm not mistaken, first 4 games: Alabama, Appalachian State, I think it's Central Connecticut, and then Michigan State. So it can easily go 1-3, or it can go 2-2, or maybe even just 3-1. That loss I'll be in Alabama. As I don't like our AD, I'm not a fan of Blake James, but when they asked him this question, what do you see Manny Diaz turning it around? He said, I got to give him 4 years, at least 4 to 5 years to know to turn it. So he knows, this is going to be Manny Diaz's 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken. He knows that his 3rd year is not going to be able to do it. He gives him 4 years. So even if Manny Diaz has I'm going to say, let's say an 8-3, 9-3 season. I like 9-3, but let's say he has an 8-win, 7-win season. I don't see Manny Diaz leaving. Just the fact that even Blake James said he doesn't expect Manny Diaz to even turn around this year. I would like to have only 1-2 losses season, but we also got to be realistic and look at the season. And I don't think we're there yet. I do think the players are buying into him, and I do think little by little I am buying into little by little just because of what I'm seeing in the off season. I think we should give him, we should gotta give him another season. I think we give him another season or 2 and see where it goes. He's not going to be able to turn around in just 2 seasons. We got to give him some more time. And this season coming up is probably going to be one of the biggest tests he's going to have. Just the fact that he has a rough schedule coming up.
Ross, do you think the expectations are getting 10 wins at Miami this upcoming season? And why do you think so many fans are a little bit impatient with Manny Diaz this upcoming year? I mean, it is his 3rd year. This past season he went 8-2, lost the bowl game, finished 8-3. Why is the bar raised so high for Coach Manny Diaz?
I think we've reached a point, especially fans who have been around and actually truly saw the glory days of Miami football. We're just hungry for those wins, man. we're hungry as hell to get back on top, and we're hungry as hell to prove that we actually belong there. You know, we've had some slight moments of success here and there. We haven't had any type of sustained success though. And I think we all are wanting to hope that Manny Diaz can be that guy. I mean, having to start over all the time isn't good for the program. It's just not. And while I'm not maybe 100% sold on Diaz quite yet, because he's still developing as a coach, and that's okay because he deserves that time, I think that the fans are definitely just so hungry and so ready to commit to him that we're going to kind of see those, you know, double-digit win predictions and stuff like that coming here.
David, do you want to give Manny Diaz time? I mean, everything you've seen so far, are you buying into the Manny Diaz offseason hype, or still have question marks over, what he's done so far?
I would say yes, man. I want to give him time because let's say if it wasn't Manny Diaz, like who else? Like who else? And again, what Anthony was saying, who else can we get realistically? What are the names out there? Again, it's 2 years, man. And on top of that, one of these years doesn't even count. And say what you want, but during COVID, man, like every coach or they're gonna get a pass for that, man. Recruiting was difficult during COVID, and still to have a successful, what I think was a successful year last year, during COVID, he definitely bounced back, man. I was there at that FIU game, and I get it, who would have thought in 100 years we lose to FIU, right? But it happened, it's in the past, and I think he rebounded well. And it's not that, man. One thing I do really like about Manny, that's something that, and I appreciate everything Mark Rick did for the program, but one thing he didn't do was he didn't, act right away or done things that, when you just know you had to do, he didn't do. And that's one thing that I believe you got to give credit to Manny Diaz. We fired Enos, or he fired Enos, right? After 1 year. And people were, screaming for Enos to be fired or whatnot. Manny pulled the plug. I thought that was good. There's some people on the defensive staff that I thought, he should have pulled the plug on too. But again, I think to a certain extent, after a certain extent, after 2 years, I personally think he's done a decent job so far. And what can you see in 2 years, man? I definitely think you have to give him at least 4. The tab is 4 even considered a full cycle nowadays? And back to what Ross was saying, it's again, you fire a coach and then what? You're starting all over. Recruiting is going to take a hit for a little bit, unless you're getting a big name coach. And again, we got to be realistic with ourselves, man. Who's out there that we could realistically get that's going to change the program like that? Someone like a Lincoln Riley or a crazy name like that. Be realistic with yourselves. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, as long as we see improvements with Coach Manny Diaz, he's willing to make the appropriate changes, bring in the appropriate players in. I like how he's aggressive with the transfer portal. If we need help at linebacker this offseason, let's see if he goes and gets out a linebacker. Last season, he went out and got an offensive lineman we needed, So, hey, I'm all for it. I love his aggressiveness. I love the changes he's making. So, as long as I see improvement and the program isn't regressing, players are developing, yeah, I think, let's keep moving forward with him. I would like the offseason talk and the turnover chain hype a little bit toned down, just from my opinion. I mean, I think, just be a little bit more humble. He came in a little bit cocky and, he felt the repercussions of that. That's why there's a lot of pressure on him. Ross, anything else you want to add before we move on to another topic or something you want to speak about?
I guess, before we get completely off of the topic of, future opponents here, this is a game that I've been worried about, and it's a game that I want to address here because I've seen a lot of other Canes fans simply are not worried about it, but it's the Michigan State game. Manny Diaz has not proven to me yet that he can beat an out-of-conference opponent. Yes, we've got, Bama on the schedule, but a team like Michigan State is still in the future for us. And, we couldn't even beat Oklahoma State. We haven't been able to do anything against out-of-conference opponents. I would just be kind of curious to hear what you guys truly think about our chances against Michigan State, and can this be Manny's chance to prove he can beat an FBS opponent from outside the ACC?
I actually circled that Michigan State game on the calendar because I agree with you, Ross, and I'm glad you brought it up. I don't think a lot of people are looking at Michigan State. I don't think a lot of people are even worried, and I don't know why, because Michigan State is coming with a second season head coach who I believe is Mel Tucker. He did okay his first year. Yeah, he didn't have the year he wanted because it was COVID issues. And the Big Ten didn't know they were gonna. The conference didn't know they were gonna play, and they only had only a couple games. But I'm not taking Michigan State lightly. I crossed them right next. It was Bama and then Michigan State because Appalachian State is not going to be also an easy test either. I think Appalachian State is one of those teams where we really got to look out for. They can upset us just like how we lost to FIU. We can lose to them. Yeah, different team. This will be a different team, but that Michigan State game, and it's going to be here in Miami. So, yeah, home team advantage. But I think that's one game that Cane fans need to look at and like, man, if we lose that Michigan State game, that's really going to tell you how the whole season is going to go because the players are going to lose confidence. You know, Manny Diaz will already have another losing record against out of conference opponent, and that's a good time. That's a good Power 5 opponent. It's Michigan State. You talk about a team that going against Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State every single year, so they're going to come down ready. Now, is Manny Diaz now not only getting ready for Bama, but he also has to let them know, hey, right after Bama, look who we have: Appalachian State, Central Connecticut, and we have Michigan State. Those are 3 straight home games. That plays in our house. So I agree with you, Ross. Michigan State's a team I don't think anybody should be taking lightly. That's a game I circled right on my calendar.
What do you think, David? I mean, this upcoming season, what games do you have circled in that we should be looking out for, or you think is an intriguing matchup for Coach Manny Diaz and the Miami Hurricanes?
Honestly, I don't want to be that guy. I personally, I'm not too worried about Michigan State. Anthony and Ross are probably gonna, what does the guy think? You somewhat right away from last year, and you don't at the same time, right? This year's a different year, man. Other than the obvious games, Alabama and North Carolina it's crazy. Like how we recruited better than them. They've recruited well. And Howell's the truth, man. He killed his freshman year. One game I think that we struggled in, and maybe you guys could correct me, I believe wasn't it versus North Carolina State, that it was somewhat a bang-bang. That's the one I believe that Harley took the late touchdown. It was Harley or Pope. And I believe it was Hardy because he cried that game, I believe. I think North Carolina State, even though it's a home game, I think that's one to maybe, be on the lookout for something. But against Michigan State, and I understand, that they're going against Ohio State and Penn State. I'm not too worried. Appalachian State, if I recall, the last time we played them, we had a field day with them, didn't we? I believe it was over there. And the same things were being said. It's somewhat of a tough place to play at, and they're one of those teams that you can't take lightly. I feel confident with them, to be honest with you, man. The one that kind of worries me is North Carolina State, and for some crazy reason, we always lose to that one weird team. We're out of nowhere, whether it's like Virginia or excuse me, it's Pittsburgh in that 2018 season, right before playing Clemson, and maybe I'm a little confident, but it's true, man. The last thing we need is to lose to Alabama and lose to Appalachian State, and that's already like we're down 0-2 going into Michigan State. So it is true. That season our season could definitely go downhill really fast. So it's very important, man. Yeah, we got to worry about Alabama, but at the same time, Alabama's not. That's one game. You can't focus too much on that because if you do lose that game, then what? It's you overlook the Appalachian State and the Michigan State, and you can start off 0-3, and that's season over, in my opinion.
So, David, if we go anything less than 10-2, do you think it's a disappointment of a season? If we go 9-3, and like you said, you lose to Alabama, you lose to North Carolina, and then a random team that we always lose to, like you said. Do you think that's a disappointment of a season?
I don't. It's we went 9-3 last year as well, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't.
We went.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a disappointment, but it's also not something that we were wishing for, right? It's not progressing, I guess, in a way, right? If you lose to North Carolina, and Alabama again, man, how many years have we lost to North Carolina?
I think it'd be 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row, man, and they lost both their running backs. I don't even want to talk about North Carolina, to be honest with you, man. Man, how much I think they're still running against us, if we're being honest, bro. North Carolina still hurts, man. So it's like can we finally beat them, right? We have the quarterback, we have returning players. Our O line, should be good. This is the best they've looked like in a while. So
So
I don't think it's a bad season, huh?
How do you think we can beat North Carolina? What do we need to improve
You
on?
you
Because they have
you gotta,
they ran all over us. They
yeah,
got a
man,
new running back from Tennessee, their leading rusher. Where do we need to get better at?
yeah. I think it's the obvious, man. You got to hit Howell, bro. That's the difference maker that North Carolina has, man. He's picked us apart, and I remember again, it was freshman year, and I hate to bring it up too, man. That 4th and 17, man. That 4th and 17 let me knew that Blake Baker was not the guy. That play alone, I told myself this guy is not it. Like I know, it's crazy off of one play, but that 4th and 17 is just killer. And somehow that's when our defense, what I thought we had some playmakers, and he picked us apart freshman year. So to me, it's the obvious. You got to hit Sam Howell and you got to control him. I don't think we're gonna have a hard time scoring against them, but it was hard last year when they're rushing for 600 yards, and what can your offense do there? You become so one dimensional, you fall so behind, and it's just pass, 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 right? So I think you really got to pressure somehow. And this year, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried because we don't have the proven defensive end coming back. I'm pretty a little bit excited about Jafari, but again, Jafari is he's a project. We don't have that one defensive end that's coming in. I know we got the transfer, I think Williams from Tennessee, but I just I don't see him being very very effective to where a defense has to worry about him a lot. So I don't know, man. It's gonna suck if we do lose to North Carolina, for the third year in a row. And Sam Howell is gonna go on the draft, and he's gonna, I never lost to UM, kind of like what Jameis Winston did to us. But that'll suck, man.
Ross, we're not having any elite edge rushers come back like previous years. Our linebacker personnel, in my opinion, is the weakest we've seen in a long time that I can remember. What do you think this defense is going to look like?
I'm a little worried, man. I mean, especially this day and age in the spread offense era. I mean, you got to be able to get to the quarterback. You got to at least be able to create pressure if you're not getting sacks. You got to be able to just disrupt the rhythm is what you got to be able to do, in my opinion. I'm worried. I mean, I'm flat out worried. Yeah, I like the transfer Johnson from Tennessee. I think he can be a solid piece. But, I could see us going through something to where it takes maybe 6 weeks or so for our young defensive ends to truly start to make the impact that a lot of us are hoping they can make. These guys are so raw. I mean, while they're the physical prototype that we have proven to have success with already in the past and in the recent past, these guys are still so raw, so raw. My hope is that the guys in the interior of the defensive line, Nesta, Harrison Hunt, even a guy like 5-star Taylor coming in, at the end of the rotation possibly, guys that can maybe carry a little bit of extra weight for us while we have the outside rushers develop. I mean, if these guys can get developed within 2-3 weeks, fantastic. But I'm pretty sure it's going to take us about a half a year to really see it.
Man, it kind of seems like we're waiting for like, hey, where's the next Gregory Rousseau, man? And that's again, that's wishful thinking, man. I'm with you, Ross. It sucks. It's kind of crazy how I think how our strength is our defensive backs. And a year ago, it was arguably with the linebackers, it was our weakest part of the defense. And now it's like we're kind of relying on our defensive backs. So it's again, man, it's crazy. It's time for Nesta to step up, man. He was a blue chip recruit, like third or the second best defensive tackle when we recruited him, and you've seen some potential, but I definitely want to see more, man, because You know, I don't think he's lived up to hype like that. You know, I'm not trying to talk
Even
bad
with
about him or anything,
Nesta,
but
it's all mental with him, man. The opposing players get in his head, and that's how he commits penalties. If you see, they mess with his head. They want him taunting them, and then when they beat him in the line of scrimmage, when he can't get through those trenches, that's when they get with him. He's very easy to manipulate. And so they know he's going to commit a penalty and they get in his head. And then Manny Diaz has to pull him to the sideline and talk to him because I've seen this several times the past 2 seasons. But hopefully, this is the best shape I've seen Nesta in during his time at the University of Miami. So it's his last year of college football, I think. With this whole new COVID-19 eligibility, I'm completely lost with eligibility. I saw Gilbert Frierson graduate, so who knows? But I really hope Nesta is going to put it together. I think defensive tackle wise, we have a better personnel we've seen in a while. I think this is one of our better defensive tackle units depth wise we've had at Miami that I can remember for quite a while. So, interior wise, we should be fine in conference play. Edge rusher, I don't know, against, programs like North Carolina or when you get outside of conference play against an Alabama. So we'll see. Even a Michigan State, those are some big boys on their offensive line. Anthony, what do you think about this defense, man? Or are you excited, or there's still a lot of question marks that you see and you think we need improvement on, or you're ready to go, man? Manny Diaz taking over as defensive coordinator.
I am very nervous actually about our linebacker core. I was really hoping Manny Diaz was gonna get a linebacker in the transfer report. That was one of my biggest hopes. Yeah, we got a corner, Tyreek Stevenson, awesome. That's great. Let's get a linebacker. We need a linebacker because our linebacker core is not that. It's not good. I don't know what's going on with Sam Brooks. I really thought he was gonna have a good breakout year. Injury has really got him slowed him down. Bradley Jennings can't read him and can't read the freaking holes, bro. These guys that North Carolina. I know we talked about North Carolina game, but I was at that game. I was at that game on live, and to see Devontae Williams and Michael Carter run the same exact plays in the same exact holes over and over and over. I'm like, oh my God, our linebacker core just got destroyed. They weren't reading the gaps. So I will say this. I am a little worried about the defensive line just because we just lost, our good edge rushers. Interior wise, yeah, we have Nesta, we got Jared Harrison Hunt coming back. We also have John Ford coming back. So interior wise, we should be good. I think this is a time to Nesta to really step up. You talked a lot. You're a big recruit coming out of high school. Where's that recruit that where's that big time plays you were making when you're in high school? It's time to make those plays. We need you in interior. You're the lead on that defensive line. Yeah, we had the transfer on, I believe, on Johnson from Tennessee. So I want to see what he can do. Especially coming from an SEC school, playing playing these SEC games, he's experienced. But I'm worried, and let me tell you something. Manny Diaz is rolling the dice. He's really going in and said, I'm gonna call the plays and I'm gonna make sure I clean up this defense. So whatever happens on defense, it's on Manny Diaz. So if something happens and they rush 500 yards, they in a single game again, like they did in the UNC, which was 700 yards offense. If they do that, it's Manny Diaz's head. It's his fault. He's basically saying, hey, I'm going to call the defense. I'm going to run the defensive plays. And if something happens to this defense, they run 500 yards on offense, that's on me. That's my fault. And fire me. Because if he can't get the job done, that means someone else needs to come and do the job. That's what I think he's doing. And I can guarantee you that Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban are right now watching the UNC Miami tapes, and they're going to say, we're going to have a field day if there's the same plays he's going to call or these linebackers. So Manny Diaz is rolling the dice on his name on his defense, and it's time for him to make these plays. And then I hope they get better. I hope our linebacker core steps up to the plate because we needed a transfer in linebacker, and I wanted that transfer from USC. We didn't get him. I wanted a transfer from Texas, Mitchell. We didn't get him either. So Manny Diaz rolling the dice and putting all the plates on these linebackers. So I hope they step up.
Did the USC guy already commit somewhere?
No, he did not. It was a false report.
Okay, so there's still somewhat of a chance, or
yeah, but Ohio State's targeting him according to Rivals, so we'll see.
And I believe the Vanderbilt linebacker, right? I think his name is Moore.
According to, I believe, 24/7 Sports, Gabby Urrutia, could be wrong on that, or David Lake, Christopher Stock, he is no longer a take. But I could be wrong.
Wow, man.
So
And he didn't look that bad, man. He
he
looked
was really
good
interesting. Yeah, he actually put up a lot of good numbers. He just didn't
in
really.
the SEC.
Yeah, it was just like I had Mark Rogers TV, who has a big following on YouTube. He told me he saw his highlights. He just like nothing really stands out. He's not really a big physical presence. He just wraps up well. He doesn't really lay the hit stick. He's not like a Denzel Perryman, or a Jonathan Vilma, where you're really gonna feel it. But he just wraps up, does his job, knows his assignments, and you need those players sometimes. So hey, it is what it is. Maybe he didn't fit. We're going after a more athletic linebacker, I think, to kind of work in pass coverage situations, in my opinion. We're going for more an athletic looking linebacker, and that's why they moved over Keontre Smith from the striker role. So I think that's what Manny Diaz is looking for.
And I'm all for it, but I thought that's what Avery Huff was gonna be for us, man. I was a huge fan of Avery Huff. I was really high on him. He's not the heaviest guy, but he's 6'3", fast. And where are you at, man? We've never been the biggest guys, but we've always had the fastest guys. I feel like that's how we play when we're at our best, right? Just north and south, east to west. We don't have those SEC bodies. And again, man, I was really high on every Huff. I'm not a huge fan of Packy. I feel like we haven't developed our linebackers the way we should have, man. Have we been recruiting really great? No, but I think we recruited well enough, right?
I think
Avery Huff and
in my opinion, David, this is the worst recruiting I've seen at the linebacker position unit ever. I've been a Miami Hurricanes fan. I was born in '94. I think this has been awful.
wow, ever.
People we put in. I honestly think. I really do, man. It's been awful.
Man, if only Flo would have came, huh?
Think about it. Who has Manny Diaz recruited? Shaq Quarterman, Pickney were under Golden. They came under Golden.
Yeah.
Who has he recruited? I can't think of anyone that stands out. And he's been a DC here, and then he was head coach. It's been, what, 5 years? Who? I can't think of anyone.
Was he our linebackers coach, Manny Diaz was?
No, but he's the defensive coordinator.
Well, when he got hired by Mark Richt, he was actually the linebackers and defensive coordinator. And wow. It is true. Quarterman, Pickney, and I forget his name, bro. These guys, they came in under the Al Golden staff.
Or so defensive end McLeod.
Yeah, McLeod. Look at him now. The guy.
What do you guys think about that?
I don't like it.
The guy has gotten terrible. I don't know what's going on with him. He
last year
has not played his full potential. The 2016 was his best season.
I thought McLeod had the biggest upside from them, from the three freshmen. I thought McLeod, he was the most athletic one. He had that big frame. I don't like that move to defensive end at all, to be honest with you. I think we, again, I feel like our linebackers are playing out of position. I'm not a huge fan of Packy at all. We haven't developed our linebackers. I also don't like the fact that I understand he's a senior or whatnot, but I think he stops the development on the defensive ends we have. I know they're young and they're gonna struggle, but I'd rather take the hits right now with those defensive ends and let them learn in an Alabama game than to just have someone McLeod who's never played defensive end. And if we're being honest, he's just there because he's a 6-year senior. I don't like that move at all, to be honest with you.
All right, guys.
And if I'm a defensive end, I wouldn't like it either. If I'm a young defensive end, I wouldn't like it either.
Last question before we wrap it up, guys. Ross, I want to pick your brain. There was a prediction, I think it was a betting website, showed the spread. Alabama was favored by 16.5 points, and they said Alabama would score 56 points, Miami 23. Can you relate to that prediction at all, or you can't see it? You think it's just ridiculous that they're even putting a score prediction like that, even disrespectful?
Yeah, I mean, it's outright disrespectful, but it doesn't shock me, sadly. I absolutely hate to say that. I hate to say that as the Miami Hurricanes fan, but I'm not shocked one bit. I mean, frankly, I expect Bama to do some damage to us, and I expect to hit us in the mouth early and often. If we can keep that game somewhat within, 20 points, 17 points, we're at least pointing ourselves in the right direction. You don't want to talk about how, oh, well, we're losing and that makes us better. That's not exactly always the case, especially when you're talking about a Bama team that you don't have to beat to prove that you're actually getting the team somewhat on the right path. You can show progress and you can show that there has been true development made, especially versus such an elite opponent. I guess, frankly, though, man, I'm not shocked that Vegas has us losing by that much. I'm not shocked that they have Bama putting up that many points on us simply due to the fact that we don't have anybody right now that's proven to get to the quarterback outside of the transfer from Tennessee.
Anthony, what do you think about that score prediction?
Oh man. Wow. Talk about a slap in the face right there, saying Miami can never reach that level. Unfortunately, man, and I gotta agree with Ross here, man, and it really pains me to say this. I'm very nervous for that game, and I see Bama scoring 40 something points on us. I don't see Miami, scoring 40, 30. I can see them scoring 20, 25. But man, I'm sorry, man. Nick Saban and that defense, he's gonna show Manny Diaz why he's a national champ. He's gonna show Manny Diaz why he's been the coach of the year for I don't know how many years in college football. And it's Alabama, man. We gotta be realistic here. As much as I would love to see us beat Alabama, as much as I would go crazy, I feel like we won a national championship. We beat Alabama, but I also gotta be realistic. Are we on that level? Are we there yet? Look what happened against Clemson. We were coming in ranked number 7 in the country. They were I think number 1, number 2 at that time. And we all thought this was gonna be the year, we're gonna beat them. And what the Clemson show us, it just showed us that we're not at that level yet. We're nowhere near at that level yet. And they left winning 42-17. So that's a Clemson team that did not win a national championship with Trevor Lawrence. Think about Alabama just coming off a national championship game, beating Ohio State. So I'm not surprised, man. It is a slap in the face, but we also got to be realistic here. Are we at that level? Can we get that mad and say, hey, we're at that level? No, I don't think we are. I would like to see a close game. I want to see a very close competitive game. That's all I want. Give me a close competitive game. Give me a real tight game. I'll be happy with that. But, man, don't give me an LSU blowout, please. Just don't give me that.
What do you think, David?
Man, I don't think I need to say anything else, man. These guys hit it on the money, to piggyback off of what they said. You got to be realistic, man. I want to beat Alabama. The Cane in you want to beat them. If someone asks me, hey, you think we could beat Alabama? Yeah, I think we could beat Alabama. But then you got to just you got to analyze everything and be realistic with yourself. What have been the last 3 times we've played Clemson? What's the overall points that they've put against us, and what's the overall points we put against them? I guarantee you that score is going to be 200 something to less than 50, I think, man. So again, it's just and what Anthony was saying, that's a Clemson team who didn't win the championship, who's losing to Alabama. And what do you think is going to happen with us? I try, little voices in my head, hey, but they're replacing them with who is it? Is it Brooks from Booker T? And this other guy they have, I don't know his name, but I saw their spring game, man. These are freshmen that I was just like, yeah, they're not. That's still Alabama, I think their quarterback, I believe, is Bryce Young. I think he's an amazing talent. I could see him making a mistake or two, but I'm telling you right now, watch that scrimmage game, and it doesn't matter who they lost to in the draft, Najee Harris and the quarterback. Man, they're still Alabama. And I think it's disrespectful, and I think it's good. I like it. We don't have to fool anyone, right? We know we're going to be the underdogs. I think you use that as motivation. But I'll be honest with you. I think a victory would be not losing by more than 2 touchdowns, man. I'm tired of these blowout games. The versus LSU, it wasn't close. Versus Clemson, it hadn't been close. It was only close versus UF in Orlando. And again, man, I just I don't want it to be a blowout. It's gonna be on national TV and things like that, man. And somewhat you keep it between two touchdowns. You could use that towards recruiting. You pitch to recruit that, hey, you could be the difference maker, especially with some early playing time. But again, I think a more victory would just be not getting blown out, keeping it a 2 touchdown game.
All I can say is this: Manny Diaz year 3. Buckle your seatbelts, man. It's gonna be a roller coaster ride, and just enjoy it, man, because it's gonna be the Cardiac Canes will be back. And I hope everyone enjoyed this segment. Heads on over to approvedforloan.com. Hits up Derek Mobley, diehard Miami Hurricanes fan. You can reach him at 706-201-7275. If you need any loan approved, you're looking for homes in Doral, West Miami, state of Florida, in Georgia, hit up Derek. Once again, approvedforloan.com, 706-201-7275. Thank you to everyone who participated on this show. I greatly appreciate everyone's time. And always, all about the U. Go Canes.